You know those survival games that don't just eat your time, they eat your soul? The ones where you promise yourself just one more run and suddenly the sun's coming up outside? Yeah, those. This list is hand-picked chaos, no AI mush. If this vibe hits, maybe consider subbing. No pressure, just pixels keeping us alive. DayZ. Picture this. You wake up in your underwear on the side of some godforsaken Eastern European road. No tutorial, no warm hug of a mini-map. Just gray skies, hunger pangs, and the knowledge that literally everything out there wants you dead. Welcome to DayZ, Bohemia Interactive's open world survival sandbox, aka the Trust Issue Simulator. The world? Bleak. Soviet bloc apartments, overgrown fields, rusting cars that look like tetanus speedruns. It's hauntingly quiet until it isn't. Because while zombies wander aimlessly, the real monsters are players. One guy might give you a can of beans, the next will shoot you in the back for your shoes. DayZ's story is whatever twisted tale you stumble into. Alliances forged over rotten apples, betrayals under moonlight. Combat is clunky, but that's the point. Every bullet matters. Every cough of infection feels like a countdown. It's not just a survival game, it's a psychological experiment, one where humanity fails spectacularly. Rust doesn't ask if you're ready. It just drops you naked in the dirt with a rock and says, "Figure it out, champ." And somehow, that rock is both your best friend and your first murder weapon. Facepunch Studios knew exactly what they were doing. Rust is basically Lord of the Flies, but with C4 and the occasional guy blasting EDM and voice chat. The world looks deceptively calm, but don't let the pretty sunsets fool you. Behind every bush could be a dude who's been grinding for 10 hours straight, waiting to bonk your skull in for your sleeping bag. The story here isn't scripted. It's written by you, your squad, and that one sweaty clan who built a fortress the size of a Costco. Building bases, raiding, surviving hunger, thirst, and paranoia, that's the real loot. Rust isn't just survival. It's pure social chaos distilled into pixels. And somehow, you keep coming back. Grounded 2. Imagine waking up smaller than a Lego minifig, standing knee-deep in blades of grass that now look like redwood trees, and realizing the neighborhood ants have unionized against you. That's Grounded 2, Obsidian's survival follow-up that takes Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and cranks the survival dial into overdrive. The world is your backyard, if your backyard was secretly a death arena. Ladybugs are tanks, spiders are pure nightmare fuel. The charm here is balance. One moment you're laughing at aphids squeaking around, the next you're screaming as a wolf spider turns you into protein. The story leans deeper this time, uncovering the why behind your microscopic misery. But let's be real, half the fun is co-op chaos. Building bases out of soda cans and juice boxes never stops being hilarious. Grounded 2 nails survival with a twist. Everything's familiar, yet terrifyingly alien. And trust me, size does not matter when the spider is bigger than your house. Subnautica. Subnautica doesn't even bother warming you up. It just says, hey, your spaceship exploded. Now enjoy being stranded on an alien ocean planet with nothing but a fire extinguisher and crippling anxiety. And it works, because once you slip beneath those waves, you're hooked. The world is stunning. Shimmering coral reefs, glowing caves. It's equal parts breathtaking and bowel loosening. Unknown Worlds built a survival game that feels more like an underwater thriller than anything else. Story creeps in through wreckage logs and mysterious alien structures, drip-feeding lore while you craft submarines out of scraps like some DIY Jacques Cousteau. And let's be real, nothing humbles you faster than hearing that Reaper Leviathan scream in the pitch-black void. Subnautica isn't just survival. It's fear, beauty, and discovery wrapped in seawater. And somehow, drowning has never felt this magical. The forest. Picture this. Your plane crashes, you stumble out of the wreckage, and before you can even grab a complimentary bag of peanuts, you realize your kid's been kidnapped by a tribe of, let's just say, uncomfortably creative cannibals. Welcome to the forest, M. Night's survival horror sandbox that somehow makes chopping trees as tense as dodging mutants. The world is lush and deceptively peaceful, but then night falls. You hear the brush crack, shadows move, and suddenly you're face to face with something that looks like it crawled out of a rejected Silent Hill draft. The story is a mix of desperation and discovery, slowly revealing the mystery of the island and its freakish inhabitants. But survival, that's all you. The forest is equal parts survival, terror, and why is that mutant shaped like that? Fuel. Sons of the Forest. If the forest was a nightmare camping trip, then Sons of the Forest is the deluxe horror vacation package. New island, shinier graphics, creepier mutants, and a survival system that basically asks, how much trauma can you carry before you break? Spoiler, it's a lot. The setting feels familiar, but now you're not alone. You've got AI companions like Kelvin, the poor guy who survived a helicopter crash only to become your mute, overly loyal errand boy. Crafting and base building go next level here, with physics-driven construction that makes every log feel earned. But the real show, the mutants. They're grosser, weirder, and way too creative with body parts. Sons of the Forest isn't just a sequel. It's survival horror with more teeth, more freedom, and way more reasons to never go outside again. Ark Survival Evolved. Imagine waking up half naked on a tropical beach, no idea how you got there, and the first thing you see is a dodo bird. Cute, right? Fast forward 10 minutes, and that same bird is the only thing you've managed to kill while a raptor eats your face for breakfast. Welcome to Ark Survival Evolved, Studio Wildcard's open world survival fever dream where dinosaurs rule and you're basically a very squishy snack. The world swings between gorgeous paradise and absolute terror. Ark's story is scattered in sci-fi breadcrumbs. The grind is brutal. Taming a dino takes hours. Base rating is chaos. And death, constant. But then you're flying a tame pterodactyl at sunset, and suddenly, it's worth every scar. Conan Exiles. Conan Exiles doesn't politely ease you in. It literally drops you on a crucifix in the desert, sun blazing, buzzard circling, and says, survive or become vulture chow. Fun start, right? Set in the savage lands of Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian universe, Funcom's survival sandbox is basically Mad Max with less gasoline and way more loincloths. The world is harsh and unforgiving. Sprawling deserts, lush jungles, snowy mountains, and creepy ruins that whisper, yeah, something's definitely gonna eat you here. It's survival of the fittest, and spoiler, you're not the fittest. Combat hits like a bar brawl gone wrong. Big swords, brutal axes, and plenty of blood spray. Building, though, surprisingly deep. You can craft everything from humble shacks to castles that would make Conan himself nod in approval. And the freedom, wild. You can enslave NPCs as thralls, summon literal gods, or just spend 3 hours making the perfect base wall. Conan Exiles is savage, messy, and absolutely addictive barbarian chaos. 7 Days to Die. 7 Days to Die is what happens when Minecraft and The Walking Dead get drunk together and decide to raise a horribly cursed child. You wake up in a world crawling with zombies, armed with nothing but scraps, and every choice feels like it's one duct tape roll away from disaster. The world, vast, decayed, and depressingly believable. But the real hook is the clock. Every 7th night, the horde comes. Not a few stragglers, all of them. Waves of undead smashing through your carefully built built fort like it's made of soggy cardboard. The survival loop is equal parts crafting, looting, and frantic base building. Guns feel gritty, melee is desperate, and when the lights go out, let's just say you start counting breaths. 7 Days to Die isn't just survival, it's preparation anxiety turned into a video game, and somehow that stress is addictive. Green Hell. Green Hell doesn't ease you in. It drop kicks you straight into the Amazon rainforest and whispers, good luck not dying in the next 5 minutes. Creepy Jar built a survival sim so brutally realistic, it makes Bear Grylls look like he's on a spa vacation. The world is gorgeous. Vibrant green canopies, winding rivers, exotic wildlife. But behind the postcard beauty lurks venomous snakes, jaguars with zero chill, and parasites that'll happily turn your guts into soup. The jungle isn't just alive, it's actively trying to delete you. And then there's the crafting system. It's deep, it's unforgiving, and yes, you will absolutely eat the wrong mushroom at least once. Green Hell isn't survival for fun, it's survival for masochists. Beautiful, brutal, and just a little hallucinatory. The Long Dark. The Long Dark doesn't need zombies, mutants, or aliens to terrify you. It just gives you a Canadian wilderness, a snowstorm that never ends, and the slow realization that Mother Nature is the most sadistic survival enemy of all. Developed by Hinterland, it's the ultimate what if winter never left simulator. The world is stark and hauntingly beautiful. Frozen lakes, silent forests, crumbling cabins half buried in snow. It's loneliness wrapped in white, punctuated only by the growl of a starving wolf or the groan of the wind through broken windows. Story mode, Wintermute, layers in mystery, humanity, and a creeping sense of melancholy. But survival mode, that's pure isolation. No quest markers, no guidance, just hunger, cold, and the constant math of calories versus distance. The Long Dark is slow, patient survival. Every match, every rabbit snare, every flicker of firelight feels monumental. And when the aurora lights up the frozen sky, it's terrifying and beautiful in equal measure.
Hope nobody needs this anymore.
Frostpunk 2. If The Long Dark is about personal survival, Frostpunk 2 is about collective misery. The kind where you're not just keeping yourself alive, but an entire city of starving, freezing people who all kind of hate your guts. 11-Bit Studios basically said, what if survival was less about wolves and more about political collapse in a frozen apocalypse? The world is a glacier graveyard. It's bleak, oppressive, and yet weirdly beautiful. Instead of scavenging for sticks, you're managing resources, making moral calls, and deciding who gets to eat and who freezes outside. And every decision cuts deep. Starvation, unrest, riots, they're not side mechanics, they're the story. Frostpunk 2 isn't about being a hero, it's about surviving as a society, knowing someone's always going to hate you for it. Cold, brutal, and unforgettable. State of Decay 2. State of Decay 2 isn't just about surviving zombies. It's about surviving people. Not in the they'll stab you for beans DayZ way, but in the you now run a dysfunctional apocalypse family and everyone's grumpy, hungry, and infected kind of way. Undead Labs built a survival sandbox that's part zombie horror, part neighborhood HOA simulator from hell. Zombies? They're dangerous, sure, but it's the resource juggling and community drama that'll really kill you. Every survivor has quirks. Maybe they're a crack shot, or maybe they eat all the snacks when you're not looking. You'll form attachments, you'll lose people, and when permadeath hits, it hurts. State of Decay 2 nails the truth. In the apocalypse, zombies are easy. People are the real nightmare. Don't Starve Together. Don't Starve Together is the kind of game that looks cute. Hand-drawn gothic art, quirky animations, a world that feels like a Tim Burton sketchbook. But don't let the style fool you. This is survival hell, where hunger, insanity, and giant walking eyeballs are equally valid causes of death. The world is bizarre and hostile. Talking pigmen, nightmare monsters, seasonal bosses that feel like cosmic punishments. Every biome has its own flavor of misery, from frog swarms to winter's endless frostbite. And the kicker? You're not alone. Multiplayer means your friends can help, or absolutely ruin everything. The story is more mystery than narrative, with cryptic lore and an endless sense of unease. But the gameplay loop, gathering, crafting, juggling sanity and stomach, is so finely tuned, it's addicting. Don't Starve Together isn't about winning. It's about how long you can delay the inevitable while laughing at the chaos. Because eventually, everyone starves. RAFT. RAFT begins with you stranded in the middle of an endless ocean, clinging to a couple planks, armed with nothing but a plastic hook and a sense of dread. It's like Castaway if Wilson was a shark that wouldn't stop circling. Developed by Red Bee Interactive, it's survival stripped down to waves, wood, and worry. The world is deceptively simple. An infinite horizon, debris floating by, and small islands that feel like jackpots when you finally drift close. The story trickles in as you piece together scraps of civilization. It's haunting, subtle, and keeps you paddling forward. Building your raft is the real joy. From a sad plank to a floating fortress stacked with farms and grills. Raft isn't just about survival. It's about turning hopeless drift into hope. Hey, quick checkpoint before we dive into the last 5. If you've been vibing with this list, maybe hit that sub button. No pressure, just make sure you don't miss the next round of chaos.
Medical functions.
BREATHEDGE. BREATHEDGE doesn't take survival seriously, which is hilarious because it absolutely kills you in the dumbest ways possible. You're stuck in space after your ship explodes, floating among corpses, wreckage, and questionable corporate branding. The world is absurd and gorgeous. Neon nebulae, twisted wrecks, frozen bodies drifting like morbid confetti. But behind the comedy sits a surprisingly solid survival loop. Oxygen management, crafting, exploring derelict stations while trying not to suffocate or freeze to death. Story-wise, it leans into parody, poking fun at sci-fi tropes, corporations, and even you, the poor idiot player. BREATHEDGE proves survival doesn't have to be grim. Sometimes it's about duct taping junk together while laughing at your own inevitable death. In space, no one hears you giggle. Forever Skies. Forever Skies asks, what if humanity trashed the planet so badly the only way to live was floating above it in a cobbled together airship? You're not just surviving here, you're basically flying a giant DIY science lab through the ruins of civilization, scavenging scraps while the world below drowns in toxic dust. The vibe is eerie and melancholic, abandoned skyscrapers poking out of poisonous clouds, glowing spores drifting in the air, and the constant hum of your ship keeping you alive. It feels lonely, but in that beautifully haunting way. Gameplay mixes exploration and engineering. You're crafting, upgrading your airship, and venturing down into the deadly fog when you need rare resources. There's no jump scare zombies here, just the quiet dread of a dying world and your fight to stay ahead of it. Forever Skies nails survival with atmosphere, a slow burn reminder that humanity might not need monsters when the planet itself already hates us. Stranded Alien Dawn. Stranded Alien Dawn is the game where your ship crashes on some random alien planet and suddenly you're less space explorer and more, please don't let those bug things eat my crops. Hemimont Games took the survival genre and sprinkled in colony sim chaos. It's less about you as a lone wolf and more about managing a fragile group of survivors who all have quirks, needs, and bad attitudes. One minute you're marveling at glowing landscapes, the next you're screaming because a swarm of six-legged horrors is tearing through your perimeter fence. Survival here isn't just scavenging and hunting. It's research, farming, building defenses, and somehow keeping morale from collapsing when your best builder has a breakdown mid-barricade. Stranded Alien Dawn nails that perfect chaos. Not will I survive, but can this ragtag group not implode before the aliens finish the job?
I paint my boots with your teeth.
Atomfall. Atomfall drops you into 1950s Britain right after a nuclear disaster turned quaint countryside villages into irradiated nightmares. Developed by Rebellion, it's survival horror with a distinctly British twist. Think cozy tea kettles and red phone boxes, except everything's glowing green and probably trying to kill you. It's haunting because it feels too real, like history took one wrong turn. The story is laced with paranoia and Cold War dread. You're not just scavenging for food and gear, you're unraveling conspiracies, dodging both radiation and human threats who are just as desperate and just as unhinged as you. Gameplay blends exploration, crafting, stealth, and survival management. Every decision feels costly, every shadow dangerous. Atomfall isn't flashy, it's quiet, oppressive, and chillingly human. Survival in a world where the biggest monster might still be mankind. The Alter. The Alters takes survival and says, hey, what if the scariest thing in the world was you? Developed by 11-Bit Studios, the brilliant sadists behind FROSTPUNK, this isn't about zombies or hunger. It's about being stranded on a hostile planet with only your regrets for company. And by company, I mean literal alternate versions of yourself. The world is desolate and alien, painted in heavy colors that scream loneliness. Vast horizons stretch into nothing, broken only by the machinery keeping you alive. It's quiet, too quiet, until you meet you. The story digs deep. Every alter you create represents a different path you could have taken in life. They help you survive, sure, but they also remind you of choices you didn't make. The Alters is survival with a soul-crushing twist. The hardest enemy isn't the planet, it's facing the versions of yourself you never became.
Second thoughts. Let's just see how this...
If you made it this far, congrats. You're basically part of the tribe now. Drop a like, toss a comment, or tell me which game here completely wrecked your sleep schedule. Or hey, just say hi. I'm not picky. And if you're still in binge mode, I've got more chaos waiting. Hit subscribe and let's keep surviving together, one ridiculous death at a time.